Yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Sung One, and today I am here with my buddy Ray Chase, and we're going to be talking about voice acting. And this video is sponsored by Itaikuji. For those of you who have, seen my channel, you're familiar with Itaikuji. They sell, great, anime merch and all sorts of stuff straight from Japan. And they were kind enough to send both of us some cool stuff, and you can use the coupon code PROZD to get 500 yen off your order on iTechUji. But yeah, I'm here to talking with Ray. Ray, how's it going, man?
Hello, Sungwon. It's going great. I'm hanging out here at home, doing this amazing video for Itaikuji, who sent me also amazing things that I've already opened. I misunderstood the instructions, and I've already opened such great merchandise like this amazing Nier statuette. The lighting is not great in here, but I can tell the detail on all of him is absolutely incredible,
Is
and
that
I
your
do mean
guy in the game?
all of them. Yeah, I play Brother Nier in Nier Replicant version
Mm.
1 point something. If you use the coupon
Are you
code
gonna touch his
RAYCHASE,
ass some more on the figure, or
yeah,
are you
you
good?
noticed.
Yeah,
Use the
yeah,
coupon code RAYCHASE, get $5 more onto your order. Uh, please use that because I get the extra money.
yeah.
Uh, Come on, we've got
Especially
some questions
if anything,
here.
if any figure that has an ass on it, you'll get five
And it's
dollars.
such
It
a
costs five
it is
dollars
a
more.
prominent ass. It is
Yeah. No,
prominent. Well,
it's
uh,
good. I
there we
get
go.
it.
He's got this cape, and look at
Yeah.
that. Look at the crevasse in there. It's amazing, and it's smooth. I tell you, this iTech Fuji sells some quality merchandise. Let me
That
tell
is
you.
quality for sure. Now, I have not opened my box because I know directions how those work. So I'm going to open up the box. I know one thing I requested, but there seems to be a lot more in here. All right. Uh, oh, there's a lot of stuff in here. Okay, let's just kind of go through it. This is a. I don't know what this is. Is this Kingdom Hearts? What is this? I have not played FF14, but this is pretty cool.
Someone that's from FF14. That's you don't know what that is? That's from Final Fantasy 14. It's one of the emblems. It's a lucky emblem from Final Fantasy 14.
Oh
It
yeah, the
contains
one
the
shaped like old
extra
Mickey
shell.
Mouse. Got it. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then they're scattered all over the Final Fantasy 14 game. Yeah, that's right.
exactly.
And Goofy's in it. Oh, okay, no, got it. Thank you for that tidbit. But that is cool. Ooh, okay, but I know what this is. This is a Moogle bull, which is very, very cute.
Ah,
And we
that's
like every time we get sent like silverware and stuff like that, we use all this stuff. Like it's great. It's very, very, very cute. Ray, is there what else have you opened already that you like to show?
I have opened, but I put it back in the box for the
Okay.
unveiling. This
Mm,
near replicant watch. It is
yeah.
very high quality. This is official from Square Enix. Copyright
Mm.
2010. I guess this is from original near. It's really
Ooh.
really nice. Once again, I apologize for the lighting. But look at that. That watch face is extremely detailed. It is high quality, and I wear it all the time. So I will put it back.
That's your go-to watch now.
It is my go-to watch. It's extremely comfortable, battery operated, so you don't got to wind it or anything. Water resistant to 10 atmospheres, stainless steel. It's a
Want to test it
beauty.
real quick? Just grab a big tub, dunk it in. No, yeah. If you had a tub of water on you, I would say. But no, that
Oh,
is
it
sick
will make.
actually. All right, next up, I'll open a couple other things here. Uh, Here we have My Hero Academia something. Are these are these food? What's it? I see like cards on the back. Oh, it's shit, it's ramen, you're
Oh,
right. Oh, that's right. I see the directions now on the back. Ooh,
the
what
noodles
flavor?
in the shape of
Are
All
they
Might, or
Deku flavor?
yeah. What makes it My Hero?
Pork flavor, okay.
Pork flavor. That's one of the
But
quirks that the children
if you
have.
can see on the back, they have like they're probably collectible cards or something, right? Okay. Cool, cool,
Awesome.
cool. I, no joke, have actually been craving some ramen recently, so that actually works out. Pretty popular in my here. This is Hawks, a Hawks figure. Very
Wow.
cool. Ooh, we got oh, from the new Pokemon DLC. Is this a puzzle? because this is a puzzle. This is a My Hero puzzle. That's cool. No, that's a pretty big deal now. Pokemon cards are like crazy expensive now.
Yeah, they could have just
So
given
yeah,
you $1 million. You didn't know it.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Maybe hopefully get some full art cards from out of there. This is Animal Crossing, right? Animal Crossing. Oh, oh shit! They're little fig. Little. Is this a whole set of them?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, let's see another one of your stuff.
All right, here's the last one. This one's pretty
Yeah.
big. So this is from Super Groupies. It is an apparel brand that made a near jacket, and I don't
Oh,
know the best way to show this guy off. It is beautiful. I suppose I could wear it.
yeah. You gotta wear it.
It's a little hot up here,
You gotta wear it the whole time. I mean,
but
you
it's so
know.
hot.
Well, but it's
Look at
such a cool
this.
jacket.
Look at
That
how
is.
cool I am. Instant cosplay. I am ready for
Whoa.
the Arctic. The details on this are insane. Like it's got the chain already
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
It has and here just the patterning is incredible. They got the straps on there so you can strap yourself in for a fun time. And it's got one of my favorite parts actually on the inside is they've got a little grimoire of ice stitched in right in here, and it's really pretty. Look at that little guy. The
Oh,
detail on this is fantastic. I love
that
this
is
thing.
sick. Yeah, how warm is that? Like, is it warm enough for like wind, like snow, or is it warm enough for like a cold day, or like what?
It is quite warm because you can zip yourself in and button yourself in on top of that. And it's got the little top with some fake fur on it. So it
Okay.
is really, really nice.
Sick.
Even a
Okay. Okay.
buckle, even a buckle, an Amora buckle just in case.
Nice.
It's really nice.
The thing that I specifically requested, which I'm very excited about, uh, this is a Final Fantasy IX Bring Art set, Kuja and Amarant. This is it's hard to see over
Wow.
there, but Aitai Kuji has been kind enough to be sending me a bunch of these, and if you can kind of see in the background up there, it's kind of hard to see, but they're all on the top row. Like I'm collecting all the party thanks to Aitai Kuji, and this has yeah, Kuja and Amarant. Like because what's nice about these is it comes with like all sorts of faces, hands,
Poses. Yeah.
props. Let's show the back. Like really, they are super nice
That's
quality
Play Arts Kai,
figures.
yeah? They did
Bring
the
Arts, Bring Arts,
Bring Arts. Oh, so different.
Bring
Okay.
Arts. Yeah. But yeah, these are gorgeous, gorgeous figures. So I've been really enjoying these. So thank you, Itai. I think that is everything in this one, but thank you very much. I mean, they're in the call, so I'll just say thank you directly to you guys. But
Thank
uh
you.
yeah, no, this is great. Yeah, let's jump into talking about voice acting. Itai Kuji has provided some questions for us to answer related to voice acting, and we're gonna do our best to kind of discuss these questions and give our best answers. So let's do it. Do you need to go to school for voiceover? Uh, that's an interesting question, Ray. What? I'm curious what your thoughts are on it.
It's actually funny. I think we comes from such different backgrounds that we'll have such completely different answers for a lot of these.
Mhm.
I think no, you do not have to go to schooling to be a voice actor. There's plenty of voice actors who are proof of that. However, I think it can only help, especially uh, if you're going for acting school. It can help you learn how to act. I think that's I will say my acting from high school was okay, but I really learned how to act and all the tools that an actor uses from my college classes. I really learned a lot from going to USC. So I would
Mhm.
definitely recommend it, but it's not
Yeah,
necessary.
for me, I think a lot of actors who say like you have to do theater, you have to do this, and I go, you absolutely don't have to do that. Like
Nope.
I think what's most important is getting your acting experience through whatever way. you can, right?
Yep.
And for some people that's through school, some people that's through improv, that's theater. But to say that like you need to do one specific thing to get into voiceover is false. I mean, there again, so many voice actors come from so many different backgrounds. A lot of people my age, including myself, we just did a lot of stuff online, right? Just making our own stuff and just practicing that way. And then that led to, more formal, maybe formal training experiences down the line. But, even I'd say what's most important is just getting the experience, getting to a point where you are, good, right? Is what you need to do. So it doesn't have to be formal schooling. I tend to disagree with people who go, there's only one way to go about it. What matters most at the end is that you got the experience you needed to get to a professional level, but not formal schooling. But I did take acting classes in college and media classes in college and all of that and audio. I did a lot of audio production classes, and all of that really helped me. So like that, this doesn't mean oh you don't the schooling sucks. No, no, no. I think it's like any experience you can get from whatever will be a good thing. Only a net plus towards this goal.
The second question they have is, would you say it's important to live in California in order to become a voice actor?
Mm. Uh, I think it depends on what kind of voiceover you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I
It's so
mean,
different though because of the pandemic. You can definitely do all of your work remotely. I myself don't live in Los Angeles anymore. I live about an hour and a half away, and I only go in maybe once a week to do in-person sessions, and the rest I do out in my remote studio. So you
sure.
definitely don't need to, but again, it can only help because all of the animation stuff is out here.
I think it's also fair to say though that I think it's also fair to say though that with you, Ray, you have a pretty established career at this point, right? Whereas I think well, I agree that yes, a lot of people can and do work remotely, but because you are a proven professional, I think they're much more
Yeah,
likely to be like, yeah, well, he can do it remote because
yeah,
he has a great setup and everything like that. Um, I would say it's for me. I agree with you, and also that yeah, with pandemic, it's proven that we can do so much of this remotely. But if you are starting from nothing, starting from scratch, uh, there are I think I'd say a lot of like stuff can be done remotely, but that's maybe because we knew those had those connections before in person. I don't know.
yeah. I
Uh,
guess I would also say though, if you're starting from scratch, the best place is to do it online. So that way you can get
I
a
agree.
lot there's a
Yeah.
lot more
Mhm.
opportunities for you. You're not going to just be doing, additional voices in Walla for like 5 years before you get a real audition. Like you can get some cool auditions for some great YouTubers for some indie games just by doing it online. So if
Yep.
you're just starting out, you can be remotely, and if you're as cool as me, you can also do it remotely. So that's kind of where the two extremes lie.
Yeah, yeah. I think because for me, I was in Michigan, right? That was I was doing a lot of work from Michigan, and then I moved
Yeah,
here. Uh, I'd say it's like it depends. Like there's some stuff that I know I would not they would not let me do it remotely. But it depends on the medium, right? It depends on the medium. But I'd say the majority of stuff, yeah, can absolutely be done remotely. And it's going to be interesting seeing how the industry goes forward from this because like Ray said, like so many shows and games are being done pretty much entirely from home.
yeah,
And it's shown that it can be done and I think that's a good thing because I hope that this opens up the doors for more fresh talent, and potentially what I hope comes with like more diversity and that sort of thing, right? So, yeah, I agree that it can mostly be done from home, but it's hard to say just straight up. There's no down benefit to living here because there's some stuff that you have to do. I think here, but it depends. It really depends. That answer is going to just change more and more as years go on. I think.
yeah. We're in flux. Absolutely,
Yeah, if you had asked me like a couple years ago, I'd say no, you got to be here. But now I'm
you
like,
have to be here. Yeah, of course. 2 years ago, you had to. You had no choice.
yeah.
And
But
then what's
now
weird
it's
is
a
two
very
years
different
before that,
situation.
you didn't have to be in LA because there's a lot of work in New York and
Yeah.
Vancouver and stuff. So like, yeah, it's that answer is always changing.
The third question is having an agency important? We'll start with you, Ben.
Sorry, sorry, I'm just admiring this watch. It's beautiful,
It
so beautiful.
is a very nice
Having
watch.
agency important. Agencies get you specific jobs. And I think a lot of people who are watching this video are not necessarily interested in a lot of the jobs that agencies give, which can be commercials and promos and stuff like that. What agencies do not get you is anime work. It's just completely outside of the purview of what agencies read for. So a lot of anime, you just get to know a studio like Bang Zoom, Studiopolis, VSI, and very slowly over the course of years build up a relationship with them, and then they start sending you auditions. They'll start booking you as a walla group. They'll start putting you in as additional voices here and there, and then you'll start getting roles continually from them. And that's kind of the structure of the anime world out here for English dubs. But agencies are not a part of that. However, if you want to do video games, animation, and commercials and promo, then yes, an agency is required.
Yes. For me, all if pretty much all my animation work is through my agency. I get the auditions through them directly, and yeah. But I've known people who even now still don't have an agent or did not have an agent for a long time and have had very successful voiceover careers. But yeah, it's going to depend on what you want to do, right? Like if you want like have a inch, I think with a lot of people they think, oh, I just want to do anime, I just want to do this, and realistically I just don't think that that makes sense. I think if you want to, you know survive, right, it's gonna have to be all sorts of voiceover, right? uh Anime, well, maybe I shouldn't get into how much anime pays, but anyway,
Yeah, if we're gonna say hard truths, you cannot really make a living just doing anime.
yeah,
Absolutely not.
yeah. So it's like Ray said, like a lot of stuff is just developing, making connections with studios. But if your dream is to one day, let's say, work on a Cartoon Network show, you need an agent. You
Yeah.
need an agent. That's where you're gonna get the auditions and connections for that sort of thing. So it depends. It's not something you need right away. A lot of people you can build up your career, but I'd say if you want to take like a step towards that, absolutely is necessary, but not from the beginning. Ray, the next question is, do you have any fun or crazy or interesting stories in regards to auditioning for companies? That's
No,
not one
I know.
I haven't heard that twist on this question before. Usually it's when
Yeah,
you're recording,
don't.
right?
I am not a good story person, and
Neither am
I got
I.
no.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I don't know your process with auditions, but for me, I tend to be very, you know, do it in one, two takes, send it off, don't worry about it. Like, don't dwell on it too much. What is your process like? Like, I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. So I guess that was oh wow. Yeah, I remember one thing that I did very early on
Mm,
was I cut out all the dead air in my auditions because I thought it would make the casting directors enjoy it more. Like,
mm,
he got through the audition really quickly, and that was a big mistake. You definitely don't want to do that. Like, keep
mm,
your dead air in there because the casting director, when they're playing your MP3, they're listening to uh the lines in between. They're getting themselves geared up for the next one, and then hoping that you surprise them with an interesting take on the next line. Whereas if
yeah.
you just do it all in one line, uh, it's just a overload, and they can't really get into the character. They can't really feel it. So that was a rookie mistake that I don't think anybody else made, but that was mine.
That's interesting. I never actually, because I have never done that, like editing the dead air out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like usually it'll just be if there's like maybe a super long chunk, like I went to, I don't know, take a shit or something. No, I
yeah.
don't know, but if there's something that just shouldn't be there, right? Then I cut it out. But for the most part, yeah, I just leave it kind of raw because I figure that's
You
how they're
should
gonna listen to it, right? And
for
if
sure.
it's like a conversation or whatever, it's better to hear it flow a little more. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I know. I think I was thinking some people do like they like try to process the audition themselves, like change too much. I'm like, no, 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 just
not a good
leave it.
idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
keep
you
it
don't
raw.
want to give them a
Real.
false idea of your sound, right? Like
Yes.
that's something that I know some people. Um, I'm trying to think of like what other things I kind of like learned early on. But the reason why I brought up the whole audition thing was early on, I would just, toil away, like stress out so much. Like, I need to make this audition so perfect and, do it over and over and over and over again and waste, not waste time, but for me, it was just a lot of time spent. And then at the end of the day, it was like my 20th take wasn't that much better than my second take, right?
Hmm.
It was too much time expended on what I felt was not really worth it. And I think for me, what helped me or sort of learn is kind of going with my gut has helped me a lot in terms of like if I just go with my instinct on the first couple takes, that's usually what is my best. What is best for me. And I'm not saying this is everyone's the same, but that's something that I kind of learned of like, go stick with your gut, trust your instincts, send it in, forget about it. That's another thing that's hard to do is to forget about stuff because sometimes you really want a thing, but you
Yeah.
just have to be like, just forget it, and if it comes back, it's a pleasant surprise. Just forget about it. That's another thing I kind of learned early on.
I think that sometimes you can do the go with your gut thing, but also if it's a really big one, I'll work on it a lot.
Okay.
And I'll even hire a coach. Like there's some great coaches out there,
Mm,
Mick Wingert and Art Butler, for example, are my like secret weapons. Um, Hire them and then work for an hour on the same audition. And like you get that extra when you're working with a coach, somebody professional like that, they're bringing in they cast and they hear what 100 other people have already done, and so they'll say
right.
here's the new way, here's a new take on it. And those guys are geniuses. They'll just instantly come up with 10 more ideas, 10 more verbs that you can use in your audition that are like, wow, a completely new rereading of the audio. And
Yeah.
I would recommend that for the big auditions when they come up, when you know that you're right for something. I wouldn't do that for
Mm.
every audition, but when you know it's like, okay, this is a big one, I'll spend some extra time on it. I felt that has really helped.
And I think that's really kind of something to tie into the next thing I was going to say is that a lot of questions you get regarding voiceover, there is no one answer on any of this shit,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely
Like
not. Yeah.
this on this answer, you got two completely different answers alone, and they are completely like I think both valid for whoever the
Mhm.
person is, right? I think a lot of people expect very easy answers, like how do I get into this? Oh, I do this. Okay, no, it's like so many people have
We're
so many
all still
different
figuring it out.
journeys and methods, right? It's impossible to, I think it's a more valuable question. I think that would be for like, and I guess kind of what we're doing here is like instead of asking how do you get into this or how do you what is there one good way to do auditions, it's like asking how does it work for you, what is it your process like,
Yeah.
because for every actor you're going to get a different answer, and it's all going to be valuable info no matter what. uh, so I think also that the idea of it being simple, oh it's just this, no, everything is totally dependent on so many variables, I guess.
Mhm. Someone, what is some advice that you don't really hear from other voice actors that's kind of like a secret way of how to get into the industry?
Mm. I think something that a lot of people don't talk about that is more and more evident the longer you work in this industry is they talk about, oh, get your acting experience, right? Which is important. I think that's one of the most important things. And then yeah, like, uh but something that people don't really talk about but is very true is a lot of stuff is just who do you know, right? Like, who do you know that can give you this audition like list? Who do you know that can get you into this? Like, I mean, we talk about networking, right? Which is very important, if not one of the most important things, right? Getting to know people and that sort of thing, and making connections. Um, but even then, sometimes just there are just things where you go, oh, you didn't know the right person. You didn't know the right person, and so you're not given the chance for this thing. I think a lot of people assume, oh, when you're a voice actor, you can audition
All
for
the auditions.
everything, Yeah,
No.
get and everything. It's like no, a lot of stuff is like, do you know the guy? Do you know them? If you don't, then too bad.
Yep.
I think with let's say I think one of the difference with something like maybe animation auditions is that those get sent out to like everyone, right? They get sent out to everyone if you have an agent, right? But then there's
Yeah.
stuff like well, I mean a lot of other things where it's uh yeah, I don't know, where you are you just on do you know this person, and if you don't know, then too bad. Do you have an in with that? No, too bad.
This is
And
the
it's
difference between the agency world. Everyone gets all of the auditions,
right.
and then your agent will hook you up with every single opportunity that makes sense for you. And very rarely there's some where they say, "Hey, we're casting this. Only send us your top 5 guys," and then they'll only send it to top 5 people.
Sure.
But the other world, the anime world, is very much just making connections with studios, with casting directors, with people. Um, and that's how a lot of roles are. But that doesn't mean that if you don't know anybody that you're shut out. It just only is another thing that's a leg up
Yeah.
to get you that over that next little hurdle to get a couple more extra roles because of that stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
I would say that one thing that a lot of people don't talk about are voiceover workout groups and casting director workshops. These are ones like you spend like maybe they're more expensive now, but back in the day it was like $120, and you'd spend about 4 hours with a real live casting director for video games, anime, um, uh, promos, sometimes just acting coaches, but you're learning from them, which is important. You're learning from your peers because you're sitting in a room and watching everybody else read the same copy, and you can hear, okay, these are the kind of patterns that people fall into. How do
Mhm.
you break that pattern? How do you bring something original? Um, but also, you are spending 4 hours with a real casting director and just auditioning and showing off for them as best you can. I know Max Middleman did 70 of them. I did 40 of them. It is a way that you can just meet people when you don't like going to parties and you just want to get in the door with a lot of casting directors. It takes years to do that many workshops, but it does pay off. Out of this, out of the 40, I would say like 5 of them ended up panning out, but those 5 were key, absolutely
Mm.
key. You can get onto some mailing lists if you want to join them. It's weird because it changed over the years. Like it used to be Voice Caster, I knew did one for $20. That's how I got my start. I would go to their workshops, and it was $20 a week. It was really nice. And then it turned into this thing where it's like $100, but it's 4 hours, and you're with different people every week. This is called thevopros.com. This is run by a woman named Marilyn Wisner. She's a casting director herself. And, uh, and yeah, you have to get on this real fast because I'm on their website and every single one is already sold out completely. And one of them is with Mami Okada, who is the head casting director for Bang Zoom, one of the
Mm.
biggest
Mm.
anime companies out here. Sarah Sherman, who's with Disney.
Mhm.
These are like these are people who you want to know, and going to a party isn't always going to cut it, especially if you're not great at parties like myself. You meet the director, it's like 4 hours. Everybody's like 10 or 12 of you. You all read the same copy or maybe different copy, and they give you live feedback. And it's really, really helpful. You learn from them, and then you also get to know them, which is extremely helpful.
The next question is, what's your greatest obstacle getting into the industry? And then just how do you network? Which are pretty related. At least I think one of the biggest
Yeah.
obstacles is getting your foot in the door, right? It's getting that first chance. So whenever people ask me, you know, how do I get into, how do you get in? And, of course, there's no one right answer, right? But for me, it's like we live in an age where you can just make your own stuff and put it out online, right? So if you're not in a place, or let's say a financial situation, even where you can afford to take classes and this sort of thing, at least at the moment, you can start making stuff and you can start putting yourself out there even at just that level, right? To just show that you are able to do this. And it can provide you with uh, experience, you know, if you have no experience. That and I would say, you know, the professional voiceover sphere is very competitive, but the online voiceover sphere is also extremely competitive. And I always tell people, like, right now, if you get the equipment and set up at home, you can start auditioning for indie games. A lot of us got our start from doing indie games, you know, just stuff online. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you can look up right now and start working towards. Uh, and that is how a lot of us got our start. That was how I
Mhm.
got my start, was doing indie games, you know, and being, oh, like, oh, this guy, oh, I'll recommend you to this person, and so on. But I think it's important to do that because for a lot of people, they think, oh, voiceover, haha, seems so fun and easy. And then it's like, well, you have to be able to experience crushing rejection constantly, right? And so you're gonna have that on the online space with voiceover because there are extremely talented people who, especially with remote work, right? You know, has their own setup at home and can do all this stuff from home. You are basically competing against
Every
professionals, you know,
yeah.
on all levels. So if this is something that you want to do, uh, start doing it now. You know, whatever you need to do, whether that's classes or getting experience. Make your own shit as long as it's not like offensive or illegal. It can only be a net plus, right? If you're creating stuff that showcases your talent, and start competing against these other people, and that, you know, you will start to recognize names like, oh yeah, that guy, oh yeah, like there are people that I know where I'm like, oh yeah, in the indie game sphere we were always in the same like we would always audition for the same characters, and then you eventually become their friends or become, you know, at least you know them. Like going into the sort of networking side is as you are naturally doing this stuff, even early on, let's say in the indie phase or whatever, you start to get to know people because you will start to see the same names pop up. And for me, I'm not necessarily a big like, let me try to like, you know, uh, be friends with everybody, that sort of thing. But you know, I still, you know, make connections like, you know, through social media and stuff. And then for me also, it's been the fun side of it can also be like getting to know people just as actual friends, right? Not just as a work person, but like,
It's the best
hey, I
kind of
genuinely enjoy
that's
hanging
the
out with this
dream.
person. Yeah,
Yeah.
like Ray, you are someone that we got to know each other through board games, right? Like
Mhm.
we knew who each other were, but I didn't consider you my friend until we were like actually playing board games, hanging out together. And to me now, it's like I don't view you as like a networking opportunity. I'm
Well, we
just
would
like,
yeah, we'd be friends
yeah,
regardless if we were in the industry together. That's the test.
exactly right. Yeah,
And
and
that's how you
so
hope that all of your networking is, that you actually do like the person. And
right,
that way it lands true. That
yeah,
is that is hard. It is you can't fake that. And you just kind of hope that you get along with the people that you're eventually going to work with, because you are going to be spending lots of time together with these people. I
right.
also think, now that I'm thinking about this just extemporaneously, like, I think a lot of people watching this might be like, oh man, it's all about who you know and stuff like that. But like, so much of the job is hanging out in a windowless room with these people who work on video games and anime for hours on
Yep.
end. And if you are not fun to be with, or if you don't click with a lot of directors all of the time, you just won't be working. It doesn't matter how talented
Hmm.
you are. People need to be stuck in this box with you for days and days and days on end, and for years and years and years. You get a lead in a show like a fairy tale or something. You better be cool to hang out with, because you're going to be doing that for 10 years. So
Hmm.
one of the reasons why networking kind of works as a concept is you are kind of testing the waters. Can I be with this person for a long period of time? Do I want this person, aside from their audition being good, do I want to be around them? Do I want to hang out with them?
Yeah, that's an extremely good point because a lot of people's reputations, we're not really, you know, if you're good at the job, that's great. But if you're an asshole, nobody wants to work with you, Like
or
if you
gets
have
around.
a
Sure.
reputation for being that can only go so far, I think. I think some people think they can get away with like just being a dick forever, but eventually it will catch up to you. It will catch up
Yeah.
to you and people will talk because you have a reputation for being difficult or being mean or being whatever. There's I think no reason to be a nasty person in this industry, like or not to be polite to engineers and directors and everybody you're working with, like fellow actors. Like uh that is another thing. It's like if somebody recommends me or if I recommend somebody I know to somebody, for me it's not just me saying, "Oh, they're very good." It's this is a good person. This is somebody that I personally think is a good person. I can attest to their uh sort of uh not morality, but kind of like their overall just goodness, right? Like they're not
Mhm.
a someone that I can't stand, or they're not somebody that I think is a horrible person. That also is a very important of like, oh, it goes hand in hand with acting ability. Is that you know just being a decent human being. So I think that's also very important. Yeah.
For you, Sungwon, how has voice acting changed during the pandemic?
I think we've touched on this a bunch, right? And that so much of it is done remotely now, right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest change, right? In that a lot of stuff is done remotely from home. And for some industries, for the people who were like used to were doing indie games from their home, it was like, oh yeah, I got the setup,
No
right?
big deal.
But
Yeah.
for some people who have never had to do that, it was a big challenge. And also for a lot of big, like let's say cartoons or whatever, it was definitely this weird period of like uncertainty of like how are we going to do this, like we're so used to doing it one way versus the other. Now, as we've said before, remote recording is just constantly being done,
Yeah.
and uh it's interesting because I actually prefer going in studio. Like for me, whenever given the opportunity, I always go in studio because I hate engineering myself, and for me, it just lets me just focus. But for other people, that's not an issue. And so for people who don't want to necessarily like live in LA, which I understand because it's terrible. It's like you can do a lot of remote work, which I think is great. Oftentimes, I think for people, they're like, I have the equipment I need at home, and I can do it from home, and I think that's a good thing. I think
Yeah.
if you giving people the option to do that uh, is great. What about you, Ray? What are some changes you've
I
noticed?
mean, yeah, I mean, the thing that the pandemic did, of course, is prove that that you can do everything all at home. What else has changed in the last couple of years? Um, I would say, like with simuldubs, that's definitely a different thing. Doing a lot more anime that's like you have to be available weekly is
Mm,
definitely a thing, and I think it's going to become more and more prevalent as time goes on.
yeah, I think
And okay,
besides the remote stuff, a lot of it's still kind of the same, right? You're just
yeah.
doing the job. Yeah.
I think it's also different because we both don't have kids, and I think people who don't have
Mm,
kids are like, "It's great, dude. At home, it's fine. I got animals. They don't make that much noise." But having a kid knock at your door, I'm definitely on Zoom calls with directors and engineers who have to work from home and they've got kids,
yeah.
and it is not easy for them. They'll sometimes just say, "Okay, guys, 5 minute break. I got to go play with my kid or something." So it's easy for us to
Mm,
say, but
that's true.
maybe difficult
Yeah.
for other people.
Yeah. Do you have any specific role you took on that really resonated with you in your career?
There's a lot of roles out there, and each one of them, I mean, such a pat answer, but each one resonates in a specific way.
Sure.
I'll always talk about, Noctis is one of the most emotional roles that I've ever had to play.
Right.
And so that journey that I went on to start as a voice actor, almost getting recast at the very beginning of it, having to re-audition after the demo, learning how to act in a video game while starring in that game was its own crazy emotional journey. And we recorded all the lines in order.
Mm,
So
wow.
that was a rare and amazing and tremendously emotional experience. And then you have guys like Roy from Smash Brothers, who I played when I was a kid, and there aren't a lot of roles like that that you get to originate, and it's something that you've known for a very long time. And that was just absolutely pure luck of the draw. I was doing another role in Fire Emblem Heroes, and they threw me Roy. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is crazy." So
Yeah.
that resonates in another way for me as a fan, as someone who really enjoys video games and the culture around them. So everybody is every one of my roles. There's something that I'm learning and really feeling within them. What about you?
Yeah, I think for me, like you said, obviously, like every role is its own. It's always like a net plus, right? Like
Hmm.
even if it's a bad experience, you're like, but now I know
Yeah,
to avoid that or to, not do that anymore, right? But I think for me some of the most roles that definitely like stand out like Flack from Borderlands 3 was, a very big one for me as it was kind of like a mix of both. Like it definitely was a big, announcement or whatever in my career or whatever. I'm like getting to voice a lead character in a very big game, but it was also a game that I played Borderlands 1 and 2 like as a kid. Like I loved 1 and 2, and I distinctly remember being like it'd be so cool if I could be in something like this one day.
yeah,
I had those thoughts, and it sounds so maybe a little saccharine, but I think you and I can relate on that in that we're both giant nerds, right? So a lot of this stuff that we're lucky enough to be in, like for me, we're both in Soul Calibur, right? And
yeah.
you're Mitsurugi, I'm Huang, and that I played Soul Calibur 2 and 3 as a kid. So if I went back in time, I was like, dude, you're gonna be in
You're
Soul
gonna be in
Calibur.
this.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
gonna be in Soul
it's
Calibur. Like,
wild.
and that, I mean, that's how I feel as I'm like, I gonna be in Soul Calibur. Like, it is surreal. So it's like there are definitely roles where it's like this was big for like a career way. Like another one I'll just mention like that. It was always like a bucket list, and then it was I got to do some like my first SAG job was for OKKO, which is a Cartoon Network show, and getting to go into the Cartoon Network building and record and work with Ian Jones Cordy, who was someone who I'd known like his career for since his webcomic days. That was like a big weird mix. I think a lot of we find ourselves in a lot of mixes of like, wow, this is crazy from a career standpoint, but also like from a childhood standpoint. Like I
Yeah,
can't believe that I'm doing this. So those are just some for me. Like I often find like what's not necessarily more important to me. Like for me, it's like my some of my more personal favorites will tend to be like because I was a fan of that franchise or that, versus
hmm,
like, oh, I was like, I got to be the main character or whatever in this. Like, to me, sometimes my heart is like, oh, but this is a franchise dear to my heart. So it kind
yeah.
of resonates in a different way for me. But yeah.
Do you have any other extra last advice, tips? What's the best brand of Ruffles to eat? Anything like that?
I think something that I don't think was necessarily said before, but I think is very important to say is that if you want to pursue voice acting, something you need to know right off the bat is that you have to go into it knowing that there's no guarantee of success. You have to know that there is a possibility that no matter how hard you try and how long you do it, it may never happen for you. And I don't mean that as like as to scare you away or be like, no, no new people allowed. But if you don't have that, I think it's unreasonable expectations, right? Because a lot of people think it's very easy to get in. It is not. And even when you're in, it is not easy to get more jobs and continue to work. A lot of people just view as like, oh, as long as I get in one thing, then I'm in, right? And I have voiceover work for the rest of my life. No, no, no. Every job you get, you are fighting everybody else for, and you have to
Hmm.
earn. And if that's not something that you are passionate about enough, right? It has to go beyond, I think that'd be cool. It has to go beyond, I think that'd be fun. Oh, it is fun when you get the opportunities, right? And if you are not prepared to work very, very hard, pretty much constantly, uh, it's gonna be a tough road. And then I also think, it's very valuable to think about not just knowing that, but also knowing for some people, not and this doesn't just apply to voiceover, but knowing when you're like, I am not passionate enough for this, right? I don't think there's any shame at all in realizing, you know what? Like I thought voiceover would be cool. I even did it like for a bit. I tried really hard. I took stuff, but in the end, it's just not for me. Like, I know people outside of voiceover, who have very successful careers in, like animation and all this stuff, and even then they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else. I like my true passions lie elsewhere, and I don't think there's any shame in realizing that. And in fact, I think it's a very positive thing to be like, being real with yourself of like, this is not something that is for me, or maybe it's not for me anymore, and finding what that is for you. And I'm just rambling now, but one other thing I think that is extremely important is finding value outside of your job. A lot of people put everything into their job of like, I got to make sure my career is super successful, and I got to make sure this. And for me, it's so important to have, people that, loved ones, family and friends who are very supportive of you, spending time with your friends. That is valuable. I love spending time with my friends. To me, that is just as important as career shit. So like having stuff outside of your career is invaluable, because if you put everything into just having a successful career will make me happy, you will be miserable because it will not give you everything.
Like
It
I
will
was
give
saying
you
during those sessions, if all you can do is talk about career for these 4-hour sessions every single
right.
day,
Yeah.
nobody's going to want to hang out with you. They're going to talk about baseball. They're going to want to talk about books that you read. They're going to want to talk about interesting family stories that you have. So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, the more that you put into life, the more that you're just going to get and be a more well-rounded person.
Yeah.
I would say
How about
that
you, Ray? Any last things from you?
yeah, the last thing I would say, here's a weird one that I don't think anybody ever talks about, but like I remember going through IMDb when I was first starting out and like dissecting voice actors' careers, and you make these leaps that make
Mm,
perfect sense when you're going through a resume and you're like, oh, okay, they did this, and then it led to that, and then they led to this,
mm,
and then they got this thing from that, and you can see the order that things come in, and that has no bearing on reality. As having gone through it and looking through my IMDb and going like, this is not actually the order that things happened. It has
yeah.
nothing to do with. There is a huge disconnect between getting a big role that fans like and that people play, and that maybe is a multi-million selling game, billion selling game, and what casting directors know. And a lot of casting directors don't play video games. They don't watch anime. They don't. They do watch TV and cartoons and movies, I would say, but I like getting a big role or getting something that's a fan favorite usually has absolutely no bearing on getting future jobs. You still
Mm,
have to audition, and you're starting from the bottom as always.
yep.
The only thing that really gets you the next thing and gets you in the pocket is just doing it for years and years and years and years, and people just knowing your name from being around, but not because they know your work from a game they played or an anime they watched. So that's a
Yes.
weird thing that I don't think I've ever said, but I think it's important to know.
I've talked about this, but like, I obviously I'm known online for, YouTube stuff or whatever. And I have talked to many people who also started online, and it can be kind of a detracting thing, because people have perceptions about what that is or
Sure.
whatever. So for me, it's always better. I like it when people don't know who I am and go, yeah, I can just show you that I'm good at this job. You don't
Yeah.
have any preconceptions about me. But I think yeah, it's just important, like you're saying, like you know, going, oh yeah, as long as if I just get the one big role, then it's gonna everything will fall into
Yeah.
place. Nope, it's gonna be a lot of work for a long time until I don't know. I think very few people get to the point where they can just coast. But also, I think I'm one of those people who doesn't ever want to coast, you know? Like, I don't ever want to just sit on my laurels and just, I always want to climb upward. So for me, I enjoy the grind. I enjoy, getting better. I don't necessarily, and I think that's just important for people to know that, you know, it may look easy on the outside, or, oh yeah, you just get roles here and there, but no, it'll always be tough work. Yeah. Shit's hard.
Shit's
That's
hard.
that just boil down the video to shit's hard. It's hard. It's fun, but it's hard.
It is worth it. I
Yes, it is
yeah.
worth it though. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming to our TED Talk. That's been me
I
and
learned
Ray Chase. Yeah, talking about voice acting. But thank you very much to Itai Kuji for sponsoring this and sending us cool stuff. Thank you for sending me more than him. I don't know why I'm pointing. Actually, this isn't the right format, right? I think he's on the right. I don't know. Whatever. But thank you anyway. And also, if you want to use the code PROCD500, it'll get you 500 yen off your order on Itai Kuji. But otherwise, thank you, Ray. Like, always a pleasure. And I'm sure I'll see you at the board game table very soon.
Done. Let's do it. Thank you so much, Itekuji. I'm literally wearing this watch all the time, and I'm not in my booth right now, but this guy for the past month has been staring at me while I do auditions and inspiring me. So thank you very, very much, and it's an honor to be part of this.
And you want to plug your shit?
You can buy specialty Ray Chase items on google.com/Ray Chase. Everything is $50,000 and
Oh,
have fun. It's a great, google.com is a great website. I recommend it for everybody. And I don't
I've
have
heard of
anything to
it.
plug. I wish I did.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you.